This is the first year where the NFL decided to not look at stats when voting for the MVP. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback ever. This is crazy because I honestly think that somebody got robbed for the Defensive Player of the Year award. And you may think off the rip I'm talking about Michael Parsons because I'm a Cowboy fan. No. Well, that's a wrap for the NFL season. And the Chiefs, man, they did it again. They won the Super Bowl. The 49ers sold out. Which, as a Cowboy fan, I'm both happy and sad. Happy because the 49ers lost, and they still have the same amount of Super Bowls as the Dallas Cowboys. So, but I'm also mad that, the Chiefs, they won back to back. And plain and simple, my Dallas Cowboys are never going to win a Super Bowl ever again. Like, we are legit witnessing a dynasty. And the scariest part is the Chiefs, they were supposed to be trash this year. They were supposed to get knocked off this year. First off, Patrick Mahomes, this was his most expensive cap in the NFL at $37 million. The Chiefs' offensive line, garbage. Patrick Mahomes, wide receiver one, was a rookie. And not only that, they were forced to play 6 straight games at a rest disadvantage in weeks 12 to 17. This was the only time a team had to do that in NFL history. They had to play in Germany. They didn't get a first round bye. They had to play on a road in a divisional round as an underdog. They had to play on a road in the conference championship as an underdog. They were underdogs in the Super Bowl. And they were losing by double digits. Not to mention, it was the toughest path to a Super Bowl based on strength of opponent faced ever. And still, they won the Super Bowl. Like, it's a dynasty. They are pretty much at the same table as Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and that Patriots squad. Now, the Patriots, they won 6. The Chiefs, they're going to win 6. It is what it is. Like, I'm not looking forward to next season. I wasn't looking forward to next season after we lost to the Packers. But seeing the Chiefs go through all that adversity and still win the Super Bowl, they're going to run the NFL for a couple more years, man. It's over. It doesn't even matter. So, watching the game, I'm not going to lie to you. First half, I'm like, this is trash. Parlays ain't hitting. Nobody's scoring that I thought they were. Turnover after turnover after turnover. I'm not even going to lie to you. I fell asleep in the third quarter. Like, when the game got good, I missed all of it because I fell asleep because that first half was so boring. And I woke up to the Chiefs winning. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Then the 49ers, they tied it up. Went to OT. Evidently, the 49ers didn't know the new overtime rules when it comes to playoffs and the Super Bowl. So they decided to get the ball first. Bad decision. If you should, first of all, you should know the rules. In the playoffs or Super Bowl, defer because you're going to get a shot regardless. These fools say, though, I want the ball first, so because we score, we win. Wrong. But, they got the ball first. They drove all the way down, and they couldn't punch it in. You settled for a field goal. That's the worst thing you could have ever done. Settle for a field goal when you have Patrick Mahomes on the opposite sideline. Because I'm going to tell you something. He's going to punch it in. Ain't no field goal for that. The Chiefs already said it. Their game plan was, if we win a toss, we're going to defer. If the other team scores a touchdown, we're going to score, and we're going for 2 to end the game. That's how confident they were. And they didn't have to even do any of that because the 49ers, they said, we want the ball. Stupid. They only got a field goal, so all you got to do is score a touchdown. And they did. So, it was a quick little recap of the Super Bowl. And I'm just going to say this. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback ever. I don't care if he only played in 7 seasons. He's the best ever. He's at the table with your Joe Montanas and your Tom Brady. At that table, who was the best ever, is only 3 quarterbacks. Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady, Joe Montana. And I'll be honest with you, Patrick Mahomes, he might be number 1. If Patrick Mahomes were to retire right now, he'd be in the Hall of Fame easily. Easily. I can't technically put him number 1 best ever because, Tom got 7 of them things. But up to the same point in each of their careers, Patrick Mahomes, he's looking like the better player. But only time will tell. Congrats to the Chiefs. They won it all. They were like underdogs the whole season. After they lost to the Lions in the home opener or season opener, I don't know if they were home or not. I'm like, yeah, the Chiefs, they're not repeating. They got no weapons. Offensive line looking trash. Nah, they ain't gonna win it all. And they fooled us all. So, congrats to them, man. The next thing I want to talk about on this episode of the Day in the Life of a Cowboy Fan podcast are the NFL season awards, starting out with no other than the MVP. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson won the MVP. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted because I felt like we got cheated. As mad as I was with Dak Prescott in that playoff loss to the Packers, even though if we're gonna keep it real, it wasn't all of his fault. Now he has some blame to it, but it was the defense. The defense put us in the hole, and things didn't go our way. But I'm definitely not here to talk about the playoff loss against the Packers. I'm just healing from it, and it is what it is. But Lamar Jackson won the MVP. Now let's play a little game. I'm gonna give you guys 3 different quarterbacks without names, and I'm gonna list their stats. And I want you, the viewer, the listener, to tell me who should win the MVP. Right? So option A. This quarterback threw for 4,516 yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and his QBR was 72.7. Right? That's option A. Over 4,500 yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 picks, 72.7 QBR. Option A. Option B. This quarterback threw for 4,280 passing yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and his QBR was 72.6. So he threw for less, he threw for less passing yards than option A. He threw for 5 less touchdowns than option A, and he threw for 2 more interceptions. And his QBR was 0.1 less than option A, right? So let's recap real quick because I want you guys to give me the answer. I'm not giving no names out. Option A threw for 4,500, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 72.7 QBR. Option B, over 4,200 yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and his QBR was 72.6. And then the last option, option C. This quarterback threw for 3,678 passing yards, 24 passing touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. And his QBR was 64.7%. Now, who, in your honest opinion, should be the NFL MVP? Option A, who threw for more yards than both these guys. Option A, who threw for more touchdowns than both these guys. Option C threw for the least amount of interceptions by 2. He only had 7. Option A had 9. Option B had 11. And then option A had the best QBR. Right? Comment below right now before I give out these names. Who do you think should be the NFL MVP? Because I'll be honest with you. This is crazy. This is the first year where the NFL decided to not look at stats when voting for the MVP. All of a sudden, we don't look at numbers for NFL MVP award. All of a sudden. Every year to this point, we've looked at stats of who should win MVP, best player of the year, based on stats. Every year, pretty much quarterback has won MVP. And the quarterback has never thrown less than 30 touchdowns and won MVP. All of a sudden, we don't look at stats. All of a sudden, you throwing for 3,600 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions is MVP material. I get it. Option C, they had the number 1 seed in the playoffs. But the MVP is a regular season award. And as you can guess it, option A was Dak, option B was Brock, option C was Lamar. So it's crazy to me. The disrespect is at an all-time high. We keep talking about Dak Prescott as a bum. Dak Prescott, he finished second when it comes to voting in the MVP race this year. And Lamar Jackson blew it out the water. With the stats that I just gave you, and again, no disrespect to Lamar, because Lamar is a dog. If I was drafting the team, yes, I'm picking Lamar over Dak. But this individual season, Dak played his butt off. Obviously, we didn't make it anywhere in the playoffs, but the MVP is based on regular season. Lamar Jackson, he almost was unanimous. He had 49 out of 50 first place votes. Make it make sense. Dak should have been the league MVP. In his BS. You know? Like I said, Lamar got 49 votes. And what's even more disrespectful was Dak didn't even get that one first place vote. It was Josh Allen who threw for 50 picks. Come on, dog. Y'all tripping. This is crazy. This is crazy. But, I've done this in previous videos. Just comparing Dak Prescott stats to Lamar stats. And Dak threw for over 900 more yards than Lamar. He threw for 12 more touchdowns. He did have 2 more interceptions thrown. And his QBR was pretty much 6% better than Lamar Jackson. Again, dog, I've never seen a year where stats and MVP voting didn't matter. I don't know. Comment below your thoughts, but it's crazy. But moving on to the Offensive Player of the Year award, CMC, Christian McCaffrey. Deserved it. This year was, a chance for CMC to not only win the Offensive Player of the Year award, but also win the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, that did not happen because his coach decided to stop running the ball when they was up. They started to throw the ball with Brock Purdy, who I think, he's a pretty good quarterback. I don't think he's top 10. He's not even a top 5 player on his own roster. You're up in the Super Bowl, run the rock. You have CMC. But CMC had a crazy year. He had over 1,400 rushing yards. He had 14 rushing touchdowns. He had over 500 receiving yards and 7 more receiving touchdowns. Now, of my Dallas Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, he finished 3rd. And Tyreek Hill, he finished 2nd. Now, I feel a little disrespected right there. I felt like, I'm not saying CeeDee Lamb should have won the award, but I think that we should have finished 2nd over Tyreek Hill. I understand Tyreek Hill, he started out the season crazy, but CeeDee Lamb finished the season crazy. And, it is what it is. If you didn't win, you didn't win. It doesn't matter if you came in 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. Dak Prescott, he finished 5th. So Dak finished 2nd in MVP race, 5th in the Offensive Player of the Year award. The next award I want to talk about is the DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year award, Myles Garrett. Now, this is crazy because I honestly think that, somebody got robbed for the Defensive Player of the Year award. And you may think off the rip I'm talking about Micah Parsons because I'm a Cowboy fan. No. TJ Watt got robbed. I'm going to be honest. TJ Watt had 19 sacks and cleared every stat over Myles Garrett. Let's look at it real quick. So just looking at it, TJ Watt should definitely have won the Defensive Player of the Year award, right? When it comes to total tackles, TJ Watt has 68. Micah has 64. Myles Garrett only had 42. When it comes to sacks, TJ Watt had 19 sacks. Both Parsons and Garrett had 14 sacks. When it came to pressures, TJ Watt had 50 pressures. Micah had 43. Garrett had 37. When it came to quarterback hits, TJ Watt had 18 quarterback hits. Both Garrett and Micah has only 16. When it came to tackles for loss, TJ Watt had 19. Micah had 18. Myles Garrett only had 17. Forced fumbles, both Myles Garrett and TJ Watt had 4. Micah only had 1. Fumble recoveries, TJ Watt had the most. Interceptions, TJ Watt had the most. Pass deflections, TJ Watt had the most. And touchdowns, TJ Watt had the most. I'll be honest with you, I'll call a spade a spade. TJ Watt should have won the Defensive Player of the Year award. Now, Myles Garrett probably had the best impact when it came to, or the biggest impact when it came to game planning And that's probably the reason why he won the Defensive Player of the Year award. Same as Lamar Jackson. He probably had the biggest impact when it came to game plan against the Ravens. So people voted for, the guy who was most feared, which to this day, it's not selling the right with me because our quarterback got robbed out of an MVP because y'all decided to do that this year out of all years. But it is what it is. So MVP Lamar, Offense Player of the Year was CMC, Defensive Player of the Year was Myles Garrett. I think they got 1 out of 3 of those awards right. CMC should have won Offensive Player of the Year award. I think TJ Watt should have got Defensive Player, and I think Dak should have been MVP. Straight like that. And, there was some other awards. Obviously, you had Offensive Player of the Year award, Offensive Rookie Player of the Year award. You had Defensive Rookie. The Houston Texans guys, they ran away with those awards. CJ Stroud and Will Anderson, congrats to those guys. Same thing as last year when the New York Jets rookies, they ran away with the rookie awards. Both Garrett Wilson and you had Sauce Gardner. They both won Rookie Year awards, and this year was the Texans. So congrats to those guys. Comeback Player of the Year award, I think, that was rough. I mean, Joe Flacco, he got it. Everybody thought that was going to be Damar Hamlin. And Damar actually had more first place votes than Joe Flacco. But Flacco's second and third place votes allow him to win the award by 11 votes. And, I just want first off to say sorry to everybody who voted for Damar Hamlin in their parlays of winning the award. But, I mean, I don't know. We're going to get to the snubs later on. Another award I want to talk about is the Coach of the Year award. It was won by the Browns head coach. He had one more first place vote than DeMeco Ryans, who was the Texans head coach this year. So before we get into the award snubs, I just want to recap the Dallas Cowboys finishing and all the awards. Dak finished second for MVP. Offensive Player of the Year, CD finished third. Dak finished fifth. And for the Defensive Player of the Year award, Micah Parsons finished third. Deron Bland finished fifth. None of that matters because we didn't do anything in the playoffs. We didn't make a deep run. We didn't win anything. We had some good individual seasons, but as a Dallas Cowboy fan, a diehard fan, none of that matters. I don't care about any of that. But, congrats to those guys. Now, the question of the day for today's episode on A Day in the Life of a Dallas Cowboy Fan podcast. Who was the biggest snub of this year's NFL Honors Awards? Was it TJ Watt? Because you can say, in what universe did Myles Garrett have a better year than Watt? He was top 3 in every category and was a sack leader. Comment below your thoughts. Did TJ Watt, was he the biggest snub? Was it Damar Hamlin? Because, even though Damar Hamlin didn't have crazy stats, he literally came back to play after he, had that big situation on the field last year. The fact that he even stepped back on the field was impressive. The CPOY, Comeback Player of the Year, is to be given to the player who showed the most perseverance to return to the field. Alex Smith won it for coming back from a life-threatening leg injury, only to throw for 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. The award has nothing to do with play, but the ability to come back and play. So, should Damar Hamlin, did he get snubbed? Those are the two guys that come to mind off the rip. Damar Hamlin and TJ Watt. But comment below who you think is the biggest snub. And the last thing I want to talk about on today's episode of A Day in the Life of Dallas Cowboy Fan Podcast is Dallas Cowboys, we got a new coach. We finally hired a defensive coordinator to replace Dan Quinn. We hired Mike Zimmer. Now, Mike Zimmer, he's an old head. He's 67. But he's the third winningest head coach in Vikings history and long respected for his defensive prowess. I mean, in my opinion, he was a big hire for the Dallas Cowboys. He previously coached for the Dallas Cowboys between 94 and 06. And like I said, I think it's a big hire, and I'm happy with it. Because all that buddy, I'm your friend, all that is out the window. Now, Dan Quinn, he was the buddy, I'm your friend, I'm cool, I'm wearing my hat backwards type of coach. We didn't need that because that wasn't winning us no games. I'll be honest with you. I hate when Dallas Cowboy fans, they bash former players once they get traded from the Cowboys, or former coaches once they move on for other opportunities, they bash those guys. I don't like doing that because when they were here, we praised them. Just because they left, I don't like bashing them. But I'll be honest with you. If you bash Dan Quinn, I ain't getting mad at you. Dan Quinn lost that game against the Packers, right? You cannot tell me he game planned for that matchup. You can't tell me. Because for us to play man all year, and all of a sudden he wants to play zone versus the Packers, yeah, he didn't care. He was getting ready for his head coaching interviews, and it was what it was. He tricked us all. Just like how the Dallas Cowboy fans always drink the Super Bowl juice, thinking we're gonna win it all this year. We was drinking Dan Quinn's juice, thinking that we had a top tier defense. No, no. I will say this though, he did turn things around because the defense coordinator prior to Dan Quinn, he was super trash. At least Dan Quinn was beating up on bad teams. Now, when it came to those good teams, he was nowhere to be found. But when we played them garbage teams, we was looking good out there. At least he gave us that much. But like I said in previous episodes, after we played, it was either the Bills game or Dolphins game. He was nowhere to be found. He was getting his resume right, to become a head coach. Now, before I get out of this podcast, the reason why I'm so happy with Mike Zimmer is because, like I said, all that buddy stuff is out the window. Mike Zimmer, he's old school, and he's going to want some dogs. And if you don't do your job, he's going to let you know about it, and then put someone in there that will do that job and win us this game. So I'm all for it, man. I'm tired of this, looking cool, celebrating when we're down by 2 touchdowns. Listen, I'm done with that. I want to win some ball games. I want to win the Super Bowl. I feel like Mike Zimmer, he's going to bring the toughness and accountability we have all been asking for. All that hot boy stuff for the defensive line, all that looking good, walking to the airplane for away games, taking pictures, make sure you get a good angle, all that's out the window. All that is out the window. Because Mike Zimmerman, he's killing that. And I can't wait. He don't care about being your friend. He cares about being your coach and winning ball games. And that's what I'm here for. We got to win the Super Bowl, man. We got to win the Super Bowl. If we can get a legit defense to help Dak out, if we can sign another piece outside of CeeDee Lamb, whether that's bringing back Brandon Cooks, if we can get a legit run game, Derrick Henry, we can be good, man. We can be good. Because somebody got to knock off the Chiefs. And if we can get that defense and a couple pieces, we can be that team. But comment below, man, what's your thoughts on the NFL Super Bowl this year? Do you think it's rigged? Do you think the Chiefs deserve it? Do you think the Chiefs is the dynasty now? Do you think they can set the same table as the Patriots with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? But like I always say, if you're a Cowboy fan, if you're an NFL fan, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. Leave a like and comment below. Who do you think will win the Super Bowl next year? But see you guys next time.